Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fear the Old Lore, doing Elden Ring Unpatched version 1.00. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing pretty well, excited to get back into the game. Kenchel, nice to see you again. Rick Val, welcome in. And Trent, nice to see you as well. Pleased to see Tort so hale and hearty, indeed. So yesterday we pretty much just went through the ending stages of Hyetta's quest from like Arena's point in Weeping Peninsula. So we saw like the NPCs down here. We didn't talk to Selene in Witchbane Ruins yet, so we'll probably do that eventually. And after coming up through Liurnia, we just kind of traveled around a bit, did a little bit of Hyetta's quest line, and I left us here so that way we could go see Raya and Blackguard. So that's where we'll head off for today and finish that off. So for those who haven't seen the other stream so far, or just coming, or like missed an episode, instead of patches being at the Scenic Isle in the unpatched version of the game, we do have this kind of nomadic merchant there, and patches took this one's place where it's like down there, kind of. So that's an interesting change. It'd be like right around here, I think. Yeah, no problem, Master Ludi, and thanks for joining and keeping us all company. Teen Seth, nice to see you again as always. So let's go find Raya. If I remember correctly, she's right at that little monument. I struggle what to call this. And if we're lucky, this should have like one of the statues that I was talking about.
Hello, please. Over here.
Alrighty.
Hello.
Gazebo.
It's rather chilly here, isn't it? My mistress sent me off on an errand, but I was accosted by a ruffian. And now I'm in a bind. Could I ask you lend a hand? Perhaps. That thug made off with a precious necklace. I need someone to retrieve it. Only, he too is tarnished. If you've any qualms confronting your own, I shall find another.
So we can hear their request or refuse it. Maybe I should have talked to Blackguard first. He has a slightly different dialogue if you don't talk to Raya. But I might be misremembering, but it's really not that important.
Oh, thank you dearly. What a blessing that we've met like this. The thug should be resting at an abandoned home down the way. Please, I must have the necklace back. The thug should be resting at an abandoned home down the way. Please, I must have the necklace back.
So that's it for her. Everybody kind of like recognizes Raya. She's one would say like the best girl because she's so naive. What's the word? Pure, innocent. That innocent's probably the word. So she's kind of a hunchback while she's in her human form, but she is a snake lady. She's wearing, I don't remember if this one's technically called the official's attire, but you'll see like kind of like the nobility wearing this kind of thing. And I don't mean like the wandering nobles like that patrol all throughout the lands between, but if anything, this shows like a higher ranking in terms of one's affiliation or favor with like the royal family, I think. So with that being said, one thing that I've been kind of hyping up that it's been in like the memory towers, I don't remember, all of the rises, are these kinds of statues over here. Let me turn off the HUD actually for once. So these like little symbols on them will appear in the debate parlor on the banner in there, and these can also be found on Lusat and Azur. So I take it to be a kind of older academic symbol for Raya Lucaria and or the Primeval Current. So I just call these the Primeval Current statues, since Lusat and Azur studied the Primeval Current and they have like the symbol in common, but that isn't just like a foregone conclusion, I guess. Gamer posture, indeed. She's the banana Nightbot. She loves, you love how wow. You love how she comments on how chilly it is because she's cold blooded. I never thought about it that way, but yeah, that's interesting. And Vacuous asked, "Who do I think's worse, Moog or Reichardt?" That's also an interesting question. I think part of it would just depend on how literally the that we should take like the statement about Moog trying to share Mikola's bloody bedchamber with him. But if it's we could just fast travel. What am I doing? If we could just take it to be a metaphor, you might be able to say that Reichardt is actually worse because he conducted like a mini genocide and has been like torturing the crap out of Albinorks for whatever purposes suit him. He took some people and created like his own kind of race that seemed to be like bastards in maybe the more literal and metaphorical sense. So he's pretty high up there, all things considered. But even so, like, I can kind of respect what he was going for because he seems to be following like Marika's command the most closely in some ways in terms of like trying to seize power for himself. So I don't exactly blame him, but then again, I do think it's probably a bit more of a character flaw that he would go to rely on the Great Serpent rather than like him consuming the serpent like in an odd twist of fate. Do you know how many of those gazebos there are? No. I know there's like a decent number. So if you look at the maps and look at like the little hexagonal type shapes with the little dots in them, those will like denote the gazebos. So we don't have the full map, but we have a couple already. And I'm not sure like if there's actually significance to where they're located.
What are you looking at? You trying to start something, mate? What the hell is wrong with you trying to start something? Piss off. Before
No, I didn't mean to like override his dialogue. I forgot he actually said something different. So
What the hell is wrong with you? You trying to start something? Piss off. Before I crack you in half.
one nice thing about Elden Ring is if you like literally walk away before somebody finishes their dialogue, they will repeat it as though you'd never heard it before. So you can kind of like walk away and walk back if you need to pay more attention or just get like footage.
Ah. That necklace what you're after, is it? Well, show me what it's worth to you, and I'll consider parting ways with it. I'm not in love with it or nothing. Think you're bloody clever, do you? Then how about you piss off, for I'll crack you in half.
Blackguard talks a big game, but gets turned into a little punk by Dung Eater. So it's kind of ironic, but trying to remember. I was gonna say something and I just like lost it. But yeah. Okay, I'll finish his dialogue and then get back to chat.
This bloody swine. Decided to play ball now, have you? You'll be wanting the necklace then. You're a shrewd one, Chief. First, you hand me the runes. And don't try nothing, neither.
I can't say that. He's a good boy and a gentle soul. So it costs 1,000, which I guess I should have saved enough for the runes, but we'll just use a couple to get that done. Which isn't like an obscene amount, but it's almost obscene when you compare it to Tops's need for, 10 runes? So, Volcano Manor Fellow Sign given by Tanith. A Volcano Manor Compatriot Sign given to you by Tanith. So that's a little bit different. The Azure symbol signifies one being tested. So not only is it not given to us by Tanith, this is very clearly not Azure in the icon for Raya's necklace. So this definitely underwent some changes throughout development.
All right. Take it. Thing's no damn use to anyone anyway. Your bloody idea, mate. Don't come crying to me later. Oh, piss off. What is it now? Oh, I see. You want some of me prawn? Freshly cooked it is. All right then. It's yours. If you can meet me price. I could be persuaded to sell you some other bits too. If you've got the runes.
Lobster boil absolution, pretty much. So, one of the funnier things about, like, Blackguard and his love for prawn is, I think, if you don't count, like, the rice and Sekiro, this might be, like, the first actual meal you get in, like, the Soulsborne type games, with maybe the exception of the Estus soup by Onion Bro, but yeah. Preparation of cooked crab meat from the giant crabs that inhabit the lake region. It's sweet and delicious. So this is a pretty good consumable, and he has an infinite amount of them. And now that we've befriended him by not buying some prawn, he should tell us about Raya.
Oh. So you met the girl, did you? Alright, well, sod the particulars of the matter. But it ain't my fault she's stupid enough to get duped, is it? Anyway, she ain't alright, that one. Lucky she ain't died on the bloody roadside, I reckon.
I think he, like, mocks us if we don't buy prawn, but we'll find out. Okay, he doesn't say anything.
America's tits. You must be hungry.
So that's pretty much like one of the other bigger meme phrases of the game. So that's pretty much all we need to do for now. Go back to Scenic Isle since it's a little bit faster than riding Torrent that way. Hawkshaw's video on Balgart was great. I have not seen it. You don't eat the shellfish in the lands between, not kosher. You've seen those weird death-blighted crabs and the red-eyed prawns. Ava, welcome back into the stream. Those are some good-looking prongs.
The thug should be resting at an abandoned home down the way. Please, I must have the necklace back. Oh yes. That is my missing necklace. Thank you kindly. I am in your debt. Did I forget to announce myself? I am Raya, in the service of Lady Tanith of the Volcano Manor. I seek stalwart Tarnished, who might join our house. You are very brave yourself. Not only a steady hand, but a steady heart. Merciless, even to your own kind. Such strength is precisely what my mistress seeks. Please, take this.
Red insignia. It looks like an Erd tree with a snake entwined around it. It's kind of hard to make that out. If you join the Discord, we do have like the resource channel where we have like a repository where all the icons can be downloaded at high resolution. So if you expand this, like, you could see it a bit more clearly.
Brave Tarnished. Seek the Altus Plateau in the realm of the Erd Tree. Most Tarnished are doomed to wander the outskirts of the lands between, peering wistfully at the towering Erd Tree. But you are no ordinary Tarnished. And once that is proven, the Volcano Manor will fully extend its invitation to fight amongst a family of champions.
So she gives us some pretty big expository info about Volcano Manor. They seem to be a more survival of the fittest kind of clan, although it's kind of all a dupe to just trick really strong Tarnished into defeating Reichardt with their bountiest number of runes, essentially. And as Vacuous asked me my thoughts on Dung Eater, I think he's kind of like the personification of the Reichardt method, but more pure by embracing shit, essentially. Foreshadowing, she's such a sweetie. Stella and Mercy, welcome back to the stream.
Oh, and one more thing. Only for you. This land of Liurnia is connected to the Altus Plateau by the Grand Lift of Dectus, beyond the high road. But the lift has been defunct for an age, meaning there's no simple means of passage. Instead, you must seek the old ruins in the cliff. At the base of the valley, near the Grand Lift, there's an old tunnel. It was excavated from both ends, linking Liurnia to the Altus Plateau. I have faith in you. A champion through and through. I do hope that we can meet again.
I don't remember if Patches says anything after you talk to her. I don't think so, because the last thing he talked about was the Iron Virgin. So I think he just kind of keeps laughing at you until you do that. But I don't quite remember. We're not going to go to Altus Plateau anytime soon, because I want to do the Radon stuff in service of Rani's quest. So that way we get Iji's dialogue about Jaren more specifically, and vice versa. So that being said, Raya does illuminate the back way into Altus Plateau without using the Dectus medallion. So that's some good info to have.
Seek the old ruins in the cliff. At the base of the valley, near the Grand Lift, there's an old tunnel. It was excavated from both ends, linking Liurnia to the Altus Plateau. I have faith in you. A champion. Through and through. I do hope that we can meet again.
Right, so those are the main quests so far. So we already... I really died over there and didn't pick up my runes? Okay. We already did the Edgar thing and got the Shabriri grape and gave it to Hyetta. So the next time we will see her is in the Bellum Church, if I remember correctly. One too far. Or one not far enough. Okay. I don't think I ever read the Crystal Buds yet either. So we could go see Hyetta now. But I might just head to the EG side of Grace first. Yeah, and then we'll go into the tunnel to get the upgrade bell. Alright. So Vacuum said, that thing with Moog is implied that he did stuff to Mikola, since in the cutscenes he caresses his hand and is breathing heavily on his hand. So yeah, if Moog does all that stuff, it's also pretty terrible. Which Cuckoo's Everjail? Okay, that's an easy one. We'll come back to that in a minute. Well, not a minute, but a little bit. So we have the Granny Bat singing that I disturbed. And like I was saying the other stream, they technically don't count as like beasts because they don't get lured by the beast lure pots. They get lured by White Shadow's lure though, so they're kind of like humanoid or demi-human. I don't really understand them. But then the like bat boys, the ones that aren't the grannies, they don't really count for either, which is kind of strange to me. So coming up to the 4 belfries, we're gonna start seeing some headless troll ghosts, which is really interesting because we don't have like a wandering mausoleum here to tie these things to the land, and the trolls themselves are headless as though they'd done it themselves to follow their master into death, and we don't really get them anywhere else. And they still have like all the Karian armor on, so it seems like they would have followed a Karian into death, I guess. So I don't really know what their deal is, but they're just really fascinating to me for whatever reason. Do you think that the caves and catacombs could have been improved? Yeah, definitely. Like I was saying in one of the earlier streams, one of my like regrets about the game is like after a while you kind of become too familiarized to like the basic layout of like each archetype with like the caves and the mines especially, and even the catacombs. So I think like the Lindell catacomb is really done in terms of like making it more maze-like and including a twice, which is kind of like a Mario Maker term where you just include one room that looks exactly like the room that you've been in before. So it seems like you went in a big circle even though you actually didn't. Should I unlock Precipice of Anticipation? It's a good one to unlock. I'll just leave those there for now. Yeah, I may as well talk about these now. No, there'll be a better time to talk about those. The tree fell because of the troll. Yeah, so they clearly have like the Karian troll knight armor on, but they're headless. Which, you know, stating the obvious, but don't exactly know why. And it's not like if you kill these trolls that you'll get a kind of special mausoleum troll knight armor either. Large hard smithing stone. Not worth... But I didn't remember what was actually in that. I think that jump is death. If I go from right there. There we go. Wow, it's really yellow right now. And cloudy. It's a caravan. We'll stop the troll, try to loot it real quick. Or maybe I should get the Side of Grace. That's like right up there first. Probably makes more sense. Bruh. Evening. Okay, that's what I figured. It's like legitimately kind of hard to see right now. Any ideas on the significance of the belfry locations? So that's a really good question. I don't know if there's a good answer. I mean, obviously, I think you could make the argument that the people who built the belfries could have like existed in all of those different locations to some degree, and because the picture on the belfries themselves kind of look like those of the old dynasty Elden John looking guy, it could suggest that like it was from that dynasty. And we do have one that's underground, like where the Nox are, one that's in Fair Missoula, and one by Stormvale. And we do have like the different kinds of statues and architecture going on in Stormvale to suggest that it's older than it might appear. So those are all like strong possibilities in terms of the spread of their influence. So we got the Karian Knights sword. That's good. Because this is one that Morgott can summon, which is also really interesting and strange to me because he's not a Karian. So why, of like all the weaponry that he can summon gold versions of, does he summon a Karian Knight sword? So this straight sword embedded with a blue glintstone, weapon of knights sworn to Karian royalty. These knight swords could serve as catalysts, letting them wield sorcerous battle arts. Despite numbering fewer than 20, this power made them a match for even the champions of gold in battle. So that's really fascinating to me as well, because it just shows like how few Karian knights there were. And they're presumably different from like the Cuckoo Knights and probably more along the lines with Moongrim. But just like when you consider like how many trolls and soldier dudes there were in the opening trailer, like besieging Lindell, you'd imagine that there probably could have been more than 20 knights to repel all of the forces of gold when they made their way into Liurnia through like the Civil War with like Radigan and whatnot. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I was afraid this would happen. So because we'd accidentally aggroed Blythe over by the like Mistwood Forest region and pissed him off, all of the Ronnie NPCs have disappeared. Ronnie affiliated ones. So, whoops. Alright. Let's just go ahead and open this gate. I may as well go ahead and get Hoarfrost Stomp now, and then I'll make my way on over to the Bellum Church to see Hyetta. And I think Bach will show up there as well, and Melina might... No, Melina will talk about him when we get to Altus Plateau. So we'll go see potentially Bach and or Hyetta, and then go through the mines on that side. I'm not going to worry about this right now, just because all of the other ones have been broken. I don't imagine that one's going to be different. I'm just going to pick this up. Yeah, if Morgoth's hammers and swords could have been incantations, that would have been really good. Because faith builds are a little bit lacking in that regard compared to like sorcery. Thoughts on the duality between faith and intelligence in these games? So I think Elden Ring probably does like the best job in some ways of making that duality have more significance, but it is also a bit masked because the Golden Order incantations use intelligence, so there's like a little bit less of a divide. But even still, Hoarfrost Step. I think most players like shouldn't have too many difficulties trying to like figure out like, oh, sorceries have this kind of feeling versus like incantations having a different kind. So we got our coveted Hoarfrost Step. Once I explore a bit more, I'll like put it on like the Uchigat just to show how kind of broken it is in this version of the game. I don't think it'll be super effective on the Twin Blade because it can't apply bleed on its own quite yet, but I should probably just teleport. Yeah, that's the way we found. Oh, and you could go see a Deathrite bird, although it'll probably kick my ass right now. Yeah, Absolution will fix it, so we'll probably go down into the Shifra well to pick up the Celestial Dude on there. Hopefully it's still in this version of the game, because I don't remember where like a lot of them are off the top of my head. I know there's the one like in there's like two in Nokron, but the one that I know you can get like super early is just pretty much as soon as you get into the well, like before you go into like the Old Dynasty ruins with the what is it called? Falling Star Beast? No. Failed Estelle dudes. Malformed meters? I can't remember exactly what they're called, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Like the baby Estelles. I think there was another side of grace up here. I just tend to forget. Because I don't really come this way super often. Because there's not much need to. Soporific Grease. Maybe it's just like further up then. Oh, it was here. Interestingly enough, it seems like there's like fireflies in the air. Alright. The Golden Order is trying to move away from faith. I wouldn't say that. I think they're just trying to balance faith with like understanding it, which, you know, is kind of counterintuitive because faith by its very nature can't be like based on, I don't know how to like phrase this, like not, I wouldn't say like research, but it can't just be like be factually based. Well, I guess there's like the difference between like blind faith and whatnot, and so that could be the overall thing, but I don't know. Alright, I don't remember where the one side of grace was, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's just go on up the cliff. Some more cherubs. Boys. Four-toed Foulfoot. I'm surprised that's the first time I've only gotten a base one. Well, I guess I really haven't been like killing critters or anything like that. The Spirit Spring is obscene. It's just like how high it launches you. Alrighty. Oh yeah, and I never forgot, or I never talked to the one finger reader crone in Limgrave. Okie and dokie. No, I did pick up one. Or did I just pick up two that time? Okay. Is there a way to reset the NPCs? No, it's just absolution. So yeah, we'll be fine. Someone else, welcome back. You said Demon Souls had faith and intelligence, just being different ways of drawing from the same power, which you liked. Yeah. So I don't know if they're meant to be more dichotomized in Elden Ring, because there is the weird difference between like blue starlight and amber starlight more specifically. But I do have my suspicions that they probably are ultimately related within like the primeval current and whatnot. So this is a foot of a four-toed fowl. In the lands between, having 3 digits is seen as a bad omen. As such, the rare four-toed fowl's foot is a gift of great luck indeed. So that's pretty much the same as retail. Big surprise. I guess I might as well try to show off like the Hoarfrost step. But these don't really actually have like flavor text in this version of the game. Yeah. This is called Quake Ice Fog. So as we come up here, we have the one side of Rayo Lucaria. Oh yeah, I need to go fight. Well, I don't really have to fight it. I just need to go buy some Marag at some point. And this symbol has like the Cuckoo Rayo Lucarian sigil on the front. And then behind it is what I think ultimately inspired Radagon's sword seal, or his scar seal, Radagon's seal. And I don't have the item to show that off. But even when you look at the depictions of Radagon in a couple of the churches, he does have like this lattice behind him, which is kind of like represents that symbol. Hey Fluffy, welcome into the stream. Nice to finally see you. Yeah, sorry I can't really make my streams earlier. Partially just because like the dogs, to be honest. I need the puppy to go to sleep because he's a bit of a handful otherwise.
You, please, I can read them. Your fingers, please, your fingers. Oh, what a pity it is to be without the right. All you can do is stand at a loss, without even the half-crescents that wish to be whole. Before the unmoving, unfeeling grand lift ahead. Or are you planning to throw yourself to the waters? To find the coward's passage through the dim cavern? What a pity it is to be without the right.
So if I remember correctly, her retail version dialogue is a bit different, and she's not as like morose when talking to you, and she's a bit more straightforward. And I don't remember if she tells us so much about like the hidden path, but I think that's different. I might be misremembering, though. Oh, yeah. So Bach might show up at this side of Grace. We might as well take a rest. There'll be a Knight's Cavalry ahead, but I don't want to really deal with that yet. Okay, so we can talk to Melina. So, okay, Bach is right there now. I see him. Sweet.
Your seamster, Bok. He is always eager to see your return. Please, will you talk to him? When you can. I'm sure he would be much contented.
Alright, so I was half right. Like, I didn't remember Melina was related to Bach here, but I just remembered her final dialogue with him was in, like, Altus Plateau. So, this is one of the places you can see Melina, obviously, where she gives us more info about talking to Bach. So it does kind of show that she's kind of watching us on our journey, I guess.
Bok the seamster, at your service, master. Ready to make adjustments to your garments. Oh, going so soon? Please do be safe on your journeys.
So it's funny she tells us to talk to him and he doesn't really have too much to say here.
Bok the ready.
Maybe he says something if we alter our stuff. I don't really remember Bach stuff super well. I may as well just do this one.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Bok the seamster.
Alright, not gonna worry about that then. So, before I answer you guys' questions, I do want to like monologue about this like statue, because this is something that I've pointed out before, and I've said like it appears here on the highway by like Ray Lucaria. This is the statue that we found in Stormvale, in the Round Table Hold, and now we see it like front in display on the like what I would call like the ancient highway. And whether or not like this like tree symbol beneath it is meaningful is a little bit doubtful, but at the very least this version of the statue is the most robust yet. When you like zoom in more closely, you can tell that the plants are like even higher than they were before. There is more like coming out of its hands. The figure kind of remains the same, but I've also wondered if this is meant to like depict like the kind of tree stump that it looks like Radigan is kind of standing in and all that. So some people could make the argument that this was probably added later because it doesn't like quite match the cobblestones and whatnot. And we also have like the little ladies adorning the way to Lanedell. Like we'll see more of these guys or these ladies in Lanedell, but they're not like Erd Tree defenders, perhaps. So the origins of those things are a little bit of a mystery. And I don't see anything like super conspicuous about these pillars. So I'll leave that there for now. Oh yeah, and then this is a kind of repeating texture from Dark Souls 3, to be honest. I think this one might show up in Farum Azula, or no, why did I say Farum Azula? In the dragon place. Why can't I think of it? All I can think of is Hagia Sophia, because that's what it's based off of. Oh my god. The place where you fight like the Nameless King, it might show up there. I think it might show up elsewhere, but I don't remember exactly where. I kind of want to go back through like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 at the very least, just to look at some of the textures again, because I do know that they get repeated. But anyway, rambling aside, the reason why I think this thing is kind of important in Elden Ring is while we have like the Chloranthy symbol, this is a chrysanthemum, and that's also like the seal of the imperial family in Japan. So this kind of symbol here could be representative of the royalty. So we find it on this highway. We find this thing in Farum Azula. We find this thing in Lanedell itself, like right up to like the Elden Throne. So does that mean Farum Azula, Lanedell, and like this highway were all related? Possibly. It could also just be like the devs were saving on production costs by reusing assets. So I don't entirely know what to make of them, but it's kind of hard to like deny if people want to like take those connections and run with them, or if we should just kind of reject them and just say that it's kind of coincidence. So, all right, sorry for all that monologuing there. What time zone am I in? I'm technically in Central Time, but I typically just like list everything in Eastern because that's what like most people are used to converting from anyway. And I would do UTC, but I don't really think that's necessary for all of our European friends, unfortunately. They'll be able to figure it out. I trust them. Dragon Peak, thank you. Yeah, there's definitely reused assets. The Tree Xylem Demon, yeah, exactly. But at least with the Tree Xylem with the Tree Xylem Demon, they were clearly like trying to actually like do something different with it, as opposed to just like straight up reusing their own assets. Hopefully I didn't already run past it when I was like looking at chat right then. Oh, Magister Ludi asked, do I think that those figures were the ones that grew the great tree? I think it's possible, but it's also a little bit strange that they're like in the middle of a growth, which looks like a tree sprouting. Oh yeah, I definitely went too far. If I can see the jellyfish. Okay. So we're going to go into another cave here shortly, just to be able to upgrade our weapons, which we probably don't need if I'm only really going to be upgrading the Twin Blade. Didn't realize how close it was to our boy. There we go. So yeah, no need to take the elevator down because we always have a spot over there. And that's kind of what I meant about like the layout of these places. A cracked crystal. Raya Lucaria Glenstone Tunnel. And one of the weirder things to me about like Glenstone tunnels in general is if Glenstone like literally is the amber of the cosmos, does that mean that like these tunnels were connected to some kind of trees? If like we take amber in the literal kind of sense? I don't know. I do no damage. That's because these dudes are like crystalloids. So we do have a different kind of chest in here. I don't really think it's that important though. Maybe there's something on the top of the design. Oh, actually, I don't really think it's that big a deal. I was gonna say it kind of reminded me of like the black obsidian thing on the Godskin stuff, but not really. Large somber smithing stone. So in this tunnel specifically, we have a woman whose hands have been cut off. This might be the Urn Lady, but she might be different. I don't entirely know what the significance of the statue is, but it could presumably be pretty ancient, maybe older than the Erd Tree religion. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and heal since I already, or reload since I already used so many potions. It's just buried meteorites that hold ore, yeah. But with the cracked crystals specifically, like being related to Glenstone, and Glenstone specifically being related to amber, it makes me wonder if that kind of amber is supposed to be related to like literal trees or if it's metaphorical. And unfortunately, I think it's meant to be read a little bit more on the literal side as much as I would like it to be metaphorical amber. So this tunnel is kind of difficult just because everything is so tanky, and at the end of it there's going to be crystallions. Or is it only the one? I don't remember. That was satisfying. Okay. Although I do have bleed on my weapon, oh, it does go through them. Okay, that's cool. I was afraid like these things were tough enough where it just kind of stop me from doing a full swing. So that's kind of good to know that I don't need to rely on just backstabbing everything. These jumps are a bit difficult. Maybe not. Okay, yeah, it's definitely a crystallion, just the one. I was gonna say, or maybe they're not that difficult, and then like the button just didn't go through. Rip. Are these dudes albinorix like Albus? I don't believe so. The skin on the miners are stone. Is there a lore reason? So there might be a lore reason. My like headcanon theory is these are like the next step in the quote-unquote evolution of the Clayman. So these might just actually be Clayman, to be fair. Oh no, I done goofed. Oh, it seems like a normal R2 is enough to like stagger them. That'll be good to know. So yeah, I think they're kind of like Clayman, if not just like a more advanced form of them. But there's virtually no information on them. I think there's like one item, and that's about it. Like one of the like pickaxes. Shit. Hard smithing stone from its body. So it could also just be like made of smithing stone, since we just picked one up from it. I mean, that's a little bit like convenience. Like a lot of enemies drop items that they aren't made out of, to be fair. But with these things being so tough in particular and like filled with glintstone, that's a possibility. One other idea that I've had about these guys specifically is if they're filled with glintstone or something along those lines, is the glintstone might be what's animating them. And I don't know why that would like cause them to mine more glintstone. So it could just be like a kind of a parasitic or symbiotic effect between that. But I really don't know. And those are just kind of like my best guesses for why things are the way that they are. Our boy has golden eyes. That's always cool. What are Claymen? So that's an interesting question. They're kind of like the very primitive forms of life that we can find down in like the old dynasty areas underground. There's also a decent amount of the Clayman by like the Moog place, which is still kind of like in old style ruins. So yeah. Literally in one of Carbot animations? I'm not following you, Trent. It's guarding the meteorite? Yeah. Does Yggdrasil play any role in the lands between, as the primeval current and Milky Way could be synonymous and the primeval current is just the galaxy tree? It's possible, but I don't really know. Like, obviously, I think the Erd Tree is inspired somewhat by the Yggdrasil, but like we were saying before in the other stream, like, these might just be inspirations, and I don't think they should be taken one-to-one. But there's a very good potential of that, nonetheless, because when we do fight the Elden Ring, we see multiple types of like golden tree stumps with a kind of galactic cosmos filling the entire arena. So it is kind of connected to the galaxy in some way. So I don't exactly think you're wrong, but I don't know if it's fair to say it's quite exactly like the Yggdrasil, if that makes sense. You think they're just miners corroded by glintstone over time? Yeah, and I think that's also a possibility as well. But then I wonder what the miners were doing in the first place, like down here, and if they had stone skin. But yeah, that's also a thought that I've had. Not just the glintstone. These stone skin miners are in pretty much every area of the lands between. Are they dwarfs, and are they digging a hole? Yeah. It seems like they were used to obviously like mine the glintstone, but who controlled them is questionable. Obviously, with us being in Liurnia, you can make the argument that it's like Raya Lucaria. But like as you said, they are found in every area of the lands between, essentially. Damn. I'm gonna die. Worth. Okay. Let's pick this one up. And a living jar shard. I'm pretty sure I have not gotten any of those yet. Don't really have too much to deal with them. So as you can see, they use like the cuckoo glintstone scraps, as well as their staffs to like break open the earth. And because of these guys, that might be why like Ray Lucario looked down on earthen-based magic. At least that would make the most sense to me in terms of like why it would have been disdained when it seems fairly effective, like all things considered. It's implied there's an Erdtree network that connects the worlds. At least that's what you think. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair like hypothesis, even if it isn't like completely confirmed. Fringe Folks Rude 2. Don't think there's anything else down here. It's implied in the game that the Raya Lucaria mages treat nobles and the miners as slaves, since they watch over them in some places. Yeah, that's kind of like my base gut feeling. I don't remember if there's anything that like says it outright though. As much the same in the Stonefang mine and Demon Souls. Yeah. Ava says, is it just you, or do the lands between have a lot of slavery and indentured servitude going on? If you say like any amount is a lot, you'd probably be right. I don't know. Because I think one of the issues with that is that it's unclear how many have just like lost their mental faculties, and it's unclear how many were like actually slaves to begin with. If that makes sense. No. Oh, I done goofed. Oh, I saved it somehow. I don't think I need the top one. Yeah, okay. Anyway, let's just do it like normal. Get that thing later. They don't have modern labor laws. And okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So I didn't need to make like all that parkour jump before, apparently. That seems kind of far down though. Oh, I should have dropped higher. Alright, whatever. Wait, is this a different spot? Because I thought I fought most things. Feels really awkward getting turned around because it's a little bit rare for me in these games. Oh, this is a different spot. Okay. Because there's different glintstones on the wall. Oh, that's where I would have come in from a second ago. Duh. Okay, I'm no longer turned around. Those beads really make them look like the first-gen Albinorics to you? It would make sense why they would be enslaved to mine. Yeah. I see where you're coming from with that. But for what it's worth, that thing just bled red when I hemorrhaged it. I think Albinorics do as well. But their normal attacks, they don't bleed at all. So that's like a small difference, if that accounts for anything. Large smithing stone shards, hard smithing stone. Okay. I wonder if we could cheese the Crystallian from up here, to be honest. I haven't tried it before. Oh, this one takes us up? Oh, this is the shortcut one, that's right. Slavery has just been a fact of life for most of human history, unfortunately. Ava says that makes sense. You're just wondering because they're the Albinorics, the Misbegotten, the Miners, just to start off, and then the Trolls. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think, like, the Misbegotten and the Demi-Humans and Trolls are mistreated. And so while I think they're probably treated more like second-class citizens, I don't know if they're, like, actual slaves. But, I mean, with that being said, they're probably, like, not much better off, to be honest, because, for some reason, Kenneth Haidt doesn't strike me as the most, like, progressive of employers. These dudes are pretty tough. I should have, like, bum rushed it. Because I don't think that's... Yeah, I done goofed. Oh, God. So much damage. Yeah, those ones have killed me before. Oh, he was coming closer. Just because, like, I wasn't expecting them there. Oh, that's convenient. I do like the inclusion of, like, the marionettes as enemies. Just because there's something pretty different from, like, a lot of the other FromSoft enemies, and just, like, as a conceptual type thing, I really like a lot of the artificed stuff that was included into Elden Ring specifically. And it's not something I really expected them to, like, take a turn into, just because of like, how there really weren't too many of those things in their previous games. Like, obviously they've always had, like, golems and whatnot, but I would say, like, those are pretty different. I knew there was a third one. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oof, that was a little bit scary, to be honest. Alright, no item for all of that trouble in this version of the game. RIP. My health pot. Kenneth Haidt is an aristocrat. He's an opportunist. Yeah. He definitely would not see them on the same level as him. I mean, Fudge, you hear how he talks about us, the Tarnished, that, like, literally gets his fort back to him, and he still thinks he's better than us. I really don't feel like dealing with all of these guys. Uh-oh. That's interesting. Oh, so we got the digger staff. I finally got the staff. You can memorize sorceries and incantations at sites of grace. Oh yeah, I could just take off these tutorial things. Again. Okay, spamming R2 seems to work decently enough against these things, and I don't run out of stamina. Because it can actually like keep them staggered. Good to know. Uh-oh. Which one did I anger? Oh, that one. Alrighty. Trolls have tablets in their stomachs, which probably has some control over them, or to sever their connection to the fell god. Could be a GRRM thing, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, like, what trolls are, like, their relation are to the fell god is. I wonder if, like, the reason why their abdomens are exposed is because they've, like, had their faces cut out of them. But I don't really know for sure. Damn it. After I healed the bull and everything. So I need to look at the digger staff before we find our Crystallion boy. Shatter Earth. Alright, this should be it. The Digger Staff is a staff used by a miner who dabbled in magic, a catalyst for casting glintstone sorceries. Sorceries, blah blah blah, okay. Raises the potency of mining-based sorceries. So, nothing in this version. I don't think the other version of the game's expanded upon this much more, but I could be mistaken on that front. We also picked up, like, the cracked crystals and stuff, so those might be worth taking a gander at. This is a small shard of glintstone containing magical power. Shattering the gem sends out magic bolts that seeks out enemies. A larger shard of glintstone containing magical power, blah blah blah. Gravity Stone Fan is a shard of rock found in the wake of a meteoric strike. It is imbued with a particularly weighty magic. The desperate ones who scavenge for these shards dub themselves Star Callers, so that's pretty similar to retail, if not the same. And the Cuckoo Glintstone says, it's craftable with a cracked pot. Solid remains and such are mixed together and sealed in the pot. Consumes FP, blah blah blah. A curse works in tandem with the act of defilement to summon the wraiths, calling them into deadly action. So this might have been maybe like a mix-up in terms of like item descriptions getting pasted into the wrong cell, I'm assuming, because there don't really seem to be curses at play with the Cuckoo Glintstone stuff, and we don't use these with cracked pots. So I'm just assuming that this is a case of mistaken copying and pasting, so... Either way, it's still pretty funny. And we did pick up the soporific grease way earlier in the stream. Solidified grease made using Saint Trina's jealously guarded arts. The Saint of the Cradle song has become the very symbol of lost repose, and the feeble of heart were powerless to resist her kindness even upon the battlefield. So this one makes Saint Trina more clearly female, which is kind of interesting and nice. And... interesting that she's called the Saint of the Cradle song. Is there anything else we picked up? I don't remember. Did I ever look at Lutel's? Yeah, okay, there's just nothing with it. Crystal Bud, a parasitic plant that uses wounded trees as seed beds, commonly found throughout the lands between, material used for crafting items. Interesting. Okay. The reason why I think that one's pretty interesting in particular is because the crystal buds are more or less probably the same plant as like the bloody ones of this. And I think there's like the frozen rime ones in like the mountaintops. So if all of those plants are parasitic, what does that have to say about the Halig tree? Just because like the blood ones of these are kind of like implied to have been watered with Miquella's blood. So I wonder if that meant like they're related to the Halig tree. I don't know, but now I'm just kind of like having these thoughts. Oh, we picked up the Living Jar Shard. That's what it was. What does that go under? Living Jar Shard. That wouldn't be here. That's a craftable item, isn't it? Living Jar Shard. Why am I blanking on that one? Alright, I'll leave that alone. Maybe you guys will say it in chat in a second. Let me just go back up. There are a lot of connotations going on with how the misbegotten demi-humans, etc. are treated, and wouldn't surprise Ava if the lands in between was not like this until the Golden Order. Yeah, I think that's probably a good possibility, just because of the way Miriel says, like, all things could be conjoined, how the misbegotten were once regarded as, like, being blessed by something holy, and then that eventually became disregarded, and they've been seen as, like, impure. So I think that's a fair possibility. The Albinorks are an exception because Ray Lucaria hates them to an H. Cuckoo Glenstone about to curse Mortis's whole family. But something that the Misbegotten used to be... Okay, so I just talked about that one. Albinorks have dialogue of praying to the stars and cursing all life. I don't think I've seen that, Vacuous. Could you direct me to where that is, or just like copy and paste it? Someone else says, you think the Albinorks and artificial life are separate from the demi-humans and the misbegotten, even if they're treated similarly? Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Boris Vainblatt, welcome in. You said, have you noticed all the bodies around the Halig Tree area? They have similar stone tablets on the side of the head. Got him thinking that maybe Miquella is the creator of the walking mausoleums. So the stuff with Miquella and the mausoleums is a bit questionable, just because of like the kinds of tombs that are found around the Halig Tree area. It's possible that the like Elphael could have existed before the Halig Tree became what it was, and Miquella could have just used it as like his base of operations. Perhaps similarly to the way that Radon occupies Redmane Castle, but we don't really know for sure. As for the... Oh, stone tablets instead of the head. So you're probably thinking about like the bodies, I'm assuming, like right before you go into like the boss room that are just kind of like littered along the side. You can see those corpses in Raya Lucaria too, if they're the same ones that I'm thinking of, and I'll try to show that off later tonight, because we should be able to get to Raya Lucaria. Ponyboy says, actually, that doesn't just call into question the Halig Tree, the bud descriptions. It could just be that the buds are what caused the outer shell of these trees, like the Erd Tree's golden shell. It could be that those buds are what caused the outer shell of trees, like the Erd Tree's golden shell. Maybe. Possibly. Alright. Oh yeah, the Living Jar Shard. There it is. So, a discolored fragment rarely found upon defeating living jars. A gooey mixture of broken down meat and blood are stuck to its surface. So that just kind of like reinforces that the living jars are made of meat and not so much bone. I don't know if there's actually a secret path to this one just because it's so steep. Maybe there was like one over there. If so, I don't really remember it. Okay, just the usual, I guess. Somber hardsmithing stone. I don't think we've gotten any like upgrade materials that are going to have different descriptions from the ones we've already picked up. I may as well summon our Skelebros. Just to give myself a little bit of an easier time. Not that I should struggle too hard against a Crystallion, but I also don't want that, the shame of that happening. Damn. Alright, now that its outer shell has been broken, you can pretty much treat them like normal enemies that get staggered super easily. GG. Smithing Miner's Bell Bearing. And this is the first Bell Bearing that we've picked up. And I think I only mentioned it briefly in the first tunnel we went to with the troll, but many of these tunnels will end with a kind of golden style meteor at the end of it. These kind of meteors can be seen lining the walls of the Divine Towers as well. So if we do take the Stormveil painting of the Divine Towers predating the Erdtree as factually accurate, then you could say the meteor stuff also predates it by quite a bit, which kind of falls in line with the Elden Stars description. Beyblade moment, yeah. Boris asks, have I watched the theory video by Jarhead69 about Radigan not really being America? If so, what are my thoughts? No, I have not watched it. I have not watched most content about Elden Ring, to be honest. Only a very small amount of videos, just because I kind of wanted to keep my perspectives a bit separate from the greater communities at large, so I could come to my own conclusions. Let's go upgrade my weapon if I can. I think Gideon's still not going to talk to me, which is fine. A little bit annoying, but fine.
No. I need to do better than this. This will never kill a god. I can do better than this. It needs to slay a bloody god. Oh, it's you. Don't pay me any mind, it's not important. Just lay out your arms.
So let's go ahead and put Hoarfrost Stomp on the Uchi-Katana. The reason why it's really strong with this weapon specifically is because it has a base bleed. And we could keep the cold affinity on it, which will be useful as well. And let's go ahead and strengthen the Twin Blade. Okay, so we're in a pretty good spot now. May as well talk to him about Radarica.
Back already. No matter. Lay out your arms. The girl has come a long way. As ever, time and technique have made her stronger. 'Tis good to see. An imprisoned monster does not deserve an apprentice or a daughter, but at times that's precisely what she feels like to me. I've gone soft, and it isn't easy.
Alright, so that's some pretty touching dialogue from Hugh there. Is there anything else with him? I don't think so. Let's maybe see Fia again. I don't remember if she'll say anything before we go to the Black Knife Catacomb. May as well use the Baldekin's Blessing, because that way we could get another one. So as you noticed, it does have a bit of a different sigil from everything else. It does have like the same sigil as like on the icon.
I am pleased to see you again. Would you like me to hold you once more? Now, come closer.
Alright, the video about the Albinorix is Vadi Video's video. 15 more fascinating lore secrets in Elden Ring. No, I haven't watched that one either. Paul, welcome into the stream. You like Tarnished Archaeologist because he comes up with conclusions that fit with your thoughts from when you played the game. That's fair. Another blessing. So she tells us about herself.
I was known as a deathbed companion. Where I come from, after I received the warmth and lively vigor from a number of champions, I lay with the remains of an exalted noble. To grant him another chance at life, to do so is the purpose of my being. But before I could bear the noble into new life, I was awakened by the guidance of grace and chased from my birthplace. Pray, be kind. Despite all that, I still wish to be a deathbed companion. So please, let me hold you like this, as often as it takes.
So that stuff's pretty interesting with what Fia says, because at least in the Japanese, the exalted noble she talks about here uses the exact same terminology to the way she refers to Godwin at times. I don't necessarily think she's actually talking about Godwin right there, but if there's even like a 1% chance of that possibility, I think it's kind of worth mentioning. But with that being said, that does give us a little bit of insight into the way that the guidance of grace was shown to the people outside the Lands Between. And so I need to double check the dialogue, because I think it says when she was driven from her homeland. I don't remember if that's exactly what she says, and I wanted to double check that, and I keep forgetting. Anyway.
My dear, have you ever heard of Black Knife Prince? Dear Roger likes to talk of them when abed, and the ancient plot in which the first of the demigods was slain. The black knives wielded by the assassins who committed the act, along with the impressions they made, somehow hide the truth of the conspiracy. These grand affairs are hardly my forte, but dear Roger began to weep as he spoke. In truth, I've heard tell from someone else about the Black Knife Prince that fascinate dear Roger so.
Knife print clue.
But it wouldn't be right to give this to him, stuck as he is in the Round Table hold. Perhaps you could make use of it?
So we don't know who exactly tells Fia about the Black Knife Prince location. I do wonder if it's Dee's younger brother, Devin, I believe he's called. And I know one is Darian and one is Devin, but I just forget which is which. So now the thought just kind of strikes me, maybe part of the reason like the younger twin couldn't move is because Fia took his lively vigor for a bit. I don't actually believe that, and I think it's just more like it might be a little bit clearer in the Japanese text. I don't remember what the English says, but I know one of the two descriptions mentions that like one sleeps while the other moves or something along those lines, so that they can't actually coexist, or like they can't both be awake and moving around at the same time. So yeah, just kind of a random thought on my part with like Fia and or her relation to the younger brother, because she does end up with a weathered dagger, which presumably belonged to the younger brother, which is why like Dee loses his mind and gets got by her.
Dear Roger likes to talk of it when abed, the ancient plot in which the first of the demigods was slain, the black knives wielded by the assassins who committed the act, along with the impressions they made, somehow hide the truth of the conspiracy.
So that's some pretty cool info there.
To you, my dear.
It's just going to take 3 years to go through that. Let's look at our clue. Is that over here? No, that's key items then. I legitimately don't remember. It should be in this last page then. Oh, I just skipped over it. Okay. So this one's kind of funny. Note about the Black Blade written by Fia, spelled with PH. A note about the Black Blade written by Fia. Roger seeks the truth of the conspiracy, and this may serve as the key. So, my first time playing through the game, I found the Black Knife Catacomb before talking to Fia and Roger about it. So, I was a little bit confused, because I didn't get this the first time, because I'd already done it. Mortis only really likes to watch me in Smowtown, mostly due to the video structure and making backed an opinion easy to recognize. Yeah, that's something I really go through painstaking labors to make sure that when I'm conjecturing that I'm not trying to speak like with full authority. Boris says, Tarnished Archaeologist is one of the best Elden Ring lore content creators, if not the best. Smowtown coming close second. Ooh, I'm chopped liver. Even Fia says first the demigods to die. Fascinating. Yeah.
Always good to see you safe. So, what do you need? Dee was telling me that he discovered the mark of the center. As long
Okay, so that's the same. We still haven't seen Malakath, which isn't that big a deal. Still actually haven't talked to Dee because I mean to talk to Malakath.
We've spoken long enough.
Okay. So we've still got the cold shoulder from him. We did pick up the bell bearing, so let's go ahead and read that and then give it to the husks. Offer to the finger reader corpse for new item access, and the cookbook doesn't say anything. Why is this one so far down? That is strange. Okay. Oh yeah, we got the red insignia from Raya a long time ago. Oh, that one shows the snake off a little bit more clearly. A Volcano Manor compatriot sign given by Tanith. The red symbol signifies one truly recognized as a defector. So, I'm assuming this probably got changed because defector is probably referring to like Seiditsuka, which is like one who's turned their back on order in Japanese is what I'm assuming. So like back order person would be like a defector or recusant as they became known in like the official localization. So the imbued sword key is a key to the door on the top of the Great Belfry. Belfry. I actually don't know how that's pronounced. I think I've only ever read it. Right. That should be that. Did I actually even read the bell? I think I did. No, it just doesn't really say anything. Oh, but this one does call it a corpse, rather than just like a husk. So from that, we were able to buy smithing stones and large smithing stones. So nothing too fancy. But like I said before, like my first game through, like I skipped a lot of the early area stuff. So when I first upgraded my weapon, I essentially went from a +2 weapon up to a +13 because I'd like done a bunch of stuff in Caelid before like doing Raya Lucaria. We did that. Let's go see Hyetta next. I think that was the play. And we should have the Knight Cavalry guy patrolling since it's night. Belfry. Okay. You think I'm holding out on what, Trent? Boris says he hasn't watched all my videos yet, so he might change opinions. No, it's fine. I need to make more content, essentially. But I'm also happy that others are like kind of lessening the burden in that front. Like Tarnished Archaeologist makes interesting videos that are different from mine. Like our approaches are fundamentally like opposite to each other. So it's kind of interesting to see how much of our opinions align at times and how they kind of differ. So just to give some context, I'm gonna hit him like once with the twin blade or whatnot, just to kind of show my base level damage. Or I get hit by him, either way. So I did about 103. Fat rolling makes it difficult. I did 0 damage there because I whiffed. So that was 700, 900 just from that like very tiny amount that hit the horse. So that's kind of why Hoarfrost Stomp is broken. That's 400 to the rider. Almost 500 really. I wonder if this will assassinate him? Oh no, it didn't fully assassinate. I probably just did a lot of damage. Okay. Giant Hunt. And just to give a bit of a reference, this is a +5 weapon compared to the Twin Blade, which is +8. Hey Rat, nice to see you again. How's Genesis 0 not loading for you? Everything you know or suspect, the reason is you have prior Souls experience and understand the actual creators. I mean, I don't know if I actually understand them. Like, a lot of this stuff is really just headcanon. I think, to be quite honest, like, a lot of the stuff that the lore people make is probably just filling in the gaps for the creators and making something more cohesive than was in the final product at times. Because, I think when you like really look at how much the items move around between like the different builds of the game, like 1.0 to this, to like the retail build, like it couldn't have all been like 40 chests planned from like the very beginnings of the game, especially like with enemy locations as well. But nonetheless, I appreciate the comments, even if I don't necessarily feel the same way. So Hyetta 3 or 4, I don't know. Oh yeah, and we get the Radigan symbol statue before Hyetta. So as I was saying before, with like the googly statue on the highway, I've wondered if these little roots are supposed to be the same kind of thing. But obviously, like, his pose is different, and we can see the trellis behind him, or the lattice-like structure, being comparable to the barrier on the Rayolucarian gate.
Oh, hello. Is that you over there? Have you ever heard of fingerprint grapes? They're special grapes which only grow on those who've been clasped by the burnt fingers. I would truly love to try one. The distant light seems far closer than before, but I can't sense a thing from the usual grapes anymore. Please? Could you donate a fingerprint grape to me? Without one, I don't know. I feel like I might go mad. They're special grapes which only grow on those who've been clasped by the burnt fingers. Please, could you donate a fingerprint grape to me? Without one, I don't know. I feel like I might go mad.
So I totally whiffed Hyetta's quest my first time playing through the game, because I had already gone through Liurnia a bit more before going to Stormvale at all. And so I didn't notice her behind the castle because I think I just teleported away from that point, since I'd already like been there and I didn't know like an NPC would show up there. So towards the end of the game, I'd like, finished everything I needed to do, and before doing New Game Plus cycle, I was going through all the quests that I could. So I did Hyetta's quest up to this point, and then I couldn't do Vike's, like this portion of the quest, to go face like the finger guy Vike, because if you killed too many area bosses up to maybe version 1.04 or 1.05, you wouldn't be able to summon Vike, because for whatever reason, like invasions were tied to area bosses being killed. So part of the reason why I bring that up is because I actually went through the trouble of finding literally every combination of bosses that could be killed for Vike's summon to break, only for literally the next day that broken quest to get patched, so it wasn't tied to invasions, or like the area bosses. And it's kind of funny because I remembered like staying up super late trying to figure it out. I think I went to bed at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was like, I'm too tired to make a video about this right now. And then when I woke up, there were like patch notes that got released like 4 or 5 hours before I woke up that fixed it. So it was just a lot of effort for nothing. And I think I'm even going the wrong way now to get where I need to. Moon egg. Oh! I don't remember it being called that, but that's okay. And either way, even though I kind of went the wrong way, I can fix it. I'm just kind of having a moment. Because we can go up to the Frenzy Fame Village from this way. I don't know why I was thinking going the other way, because you can't get that way. So Moon Egg. It's called the Slumbering Egg in retail, if I remember correctly. And we'll just ignore all the dudes down there. I should probably go see the merchant behind Hyetta. But we'll do that in a bit. Was there ever a full story in place? That's a good question. And Rat, I saw your message about Generation Zero. That's good news. Glad you're enjoying it then. Yeah, and his teen set says, one big pro of playing Mum on everything is that Miyazaki can go sure if there's ever an idea that works better than the one he had in his head. Which I think he probably does at times. Like, I remember there was an interview... Was it with Kitao? Maybe not Kitao. I don't think it was Ogura. Either way, like, one of the devs for, like, the Soulsborne games, maybe it's in the Bloodborne interview sections, now that I think about it, where they say, like, they had to watch somebody's video on it to understand the story of the game that they worked on, which I thought was just really funny. So, like, a lot of the devs don't know what's going on either, and it might only be, like, really, like, Miyazaki and, like, maybe 2 other people that really have an inkling of what's going on. So as we come up here, we start to get frenzied by Sauron up in his tower. I guess that thing does direct damage. Maybe I just took damage and I forgot. I forget that Madness actually also reduces MP or FP. Oh no, that was like direct damage. Kind of like a Winter Lantern. Did they change that? That's kind of significant. Okay. Let me get to the thing. Did I go too far? I think I did. Yeah, okay. You know, Miyazaki has said something along the lines of having a full write-up of Dark Souls on file, but deliberately not sharing that around, so you imagine Elden Ring is similar. And it's also a bit weirder with, like, George R.R. Martin's contributions. I'm really curious as to, like, what he actually wrote. And I wonder if they're ever gonna, like, release that in a dressed-up form one day. I kind of assume they would, but who really knows? The story we have is barely cohesive. Guest torrent is America. You may be correct. Longboard Lemon, welcome in. Whoa, Madness is purple in this build. Interesting. Yeah. So, we have Sauron off in the distance. I'm probably going to get maddened before being able to show it off. We've got the dudes beneath it. And as I said on last stream, I think that, like, the reason why that thing is being summoned is because it's being summoned from their despair. So there's this really weird correlation between, like, despair and being able to have their bodies get possessed, or one's body get possessed, and or, like, summoning either the Three Fingers or the Flame of Frenzy. Damn, it still can see me. This spot's kind of dangerous because of the rat. I should have put on Hoarfrost Stomp for this specifically. But that actually kind of worked. Kind of worked. So yeah, the rat's eyes are a bit more red, and they definitely tone that down. In completely cut content, like red-eyed enemies are supposed to be more of a thing that might have played into like the Dream Brew and stuff, if you guys are familiar with that. You don't really need to worry about that too much, to be honest. But even despite that, there's still a few red-eyed enemies in the game. I don't know if they were like supposed to be put to sleep and then dealt with, or something else. Get me out of here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, and that's kind of why I talk up Hoarfrost Stomp so much for this version of the game. You guys are probably sick of me talking about it at this point. You thought Sauron gave madness buildup, you don't remember actual HP damage? Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that one's different, because I don't remember that at all. Especially like with how fast it is. It's like Winter Lantern. We should be able to get that chest next. So yeah, once these guys die, Sauron goes away. Which makes me say, like, oh, it's because of their despair, essentially. Now we should get another cool incantation. Frenzied Roar. Scream causes madness in nearby enemies. So, as you guys can see, the flavor text is a little bit lacking. The like further you get into the game. You've dug around too much to say it's not cohesive, for better or worse. Yeah, Elden Ring's really weird because parts of it are fleshed out a lot more than the other games, but then there's also like a really large amount of it that's like up in the air in terms of like understanding the story. So like the very base stuff isn't that bad, but like I was saying on yesterday's stream, or maybe the one before, we still don't really even know Marika's motivations or Radigan's or Ranni's for like a lot of the game. And that stuff is just kind of a little bit disappointing if why is that floating? Oh, it's just a visual bug. Okay. So what was I saying before my ADHD kicked in? Yeah, so we don't know like a lot of the motivations for the characters, which is really weird. And I'm really angry that our Tarnished doesn't walk up to Ranni and be like, yo, so what's all this then? Yeah, so anyway, we do have a Karian troll over here. This one has its head, and it's not a ghost, believe it or not. And sometimes it gets hurt if you like get stomped by one. And I tried to attack, but my character did nothing. Oh yeah, I have bleed now. So I should just keep attacking is what I'm trying to say. Rolled too many times. I'm lucky that didn't actually kill me. I'm trying to see if there's that's what I get. Yeah, okay, so there is a tombstone in it. In its chest. I thought there was, but for a second it looked like there wasn't rather. Longboard, Mrs. Hoarfrost, you got through most of the game before the patch. Yeah, they massacred my boy. One thing that I want to experiment with, like once like Gideon stops being all huffy about it, is potentially using the Godric Dragon Fist thing to just like cheese a lot of stuff. Because apparently if you have it in the left hand, it'll get buffed by the stuff in your right with its flames. So I might be able to just like Scarlet Mist Fire Breath, I guess. I keep meaning to look it up and I keep forgetting. So one day we might go have audience with the two fingers. Oh, he does a lot of damage. Okay. I'm so tempted to just keep cheesing with Hoarfrost Stomp, but I've literally already done it for 2 playthroughs. Wait, why is it so dark in the morning? Just foggy? It looked like night for a second. Oh, hopefully I picked up my runes. I probably didn't. Okay, I did. Roll. I'm glad I rolled that. I was thinking about not doing it. There we go. Bleed proc for the win. Literally. He didn't drop anything cool. That's sad. So this is the other converted Fringe Tower. It has the Statue of America in it. But it's called Proselyte Spire, I guess, in this version. May Erudition light the way. So we still don't have that emote. So we're boned. Wait a second. That's... I don't know if that's actually different. But this is the Nox / Celia sigil. This isn't the Karian one because it has the Celian throne of the Nox behind it. I might need to double check that actually. Okay. You think Ronnie wants people to decide their own fate since the gods getting too involved in the world is what helped ruin it? If that's the case though, like why doesn't she just agree with Gold Mask? And obviously I'm like kind of just joking, but I digress. Longboard Levin said, Gold Mask's quest / ending talks about the gods are fickle and selfish. You assumed a lot of America's actions surrounding destined death was her being stubborn and feeling herself above the natural order. Yeah, I would agree with that. Zithril, welcome in. Thank you. Glowmide Queen being a huge question mark leaves a lot of holes in America's motivations as well. You wonder if it has anything to do with the knife print in the cave below. Sorry, if what has anything to do with the knife print in the cave below. So I call this thing Lutel even though it isn't. It's the same model as Lutel. It has Death Blight buildup on its weapon. And I'm really disappointed that like we never got a kind of a incantation to allow us to use Death Blight on our weapon. There's only ever been the Eclipse Hotel, and that's like kind of a temporary thing. A big missed opportunity, but who knows with DLC. So do I want to do this now? I may as well. Black Knife Catacomb, Hyetta. Oh yeah, I was going to go see Vike. Yeah, let's go do the Vike stuff and then come down here. Maybe we'll get lucky with a drop. The Celia seal, you think that might have to do with the Black Knife thing? Maybe. Like, I'm not surprised that it would be the Celian type of seal, because I think the Rises would be more affiliated with them, as opposed to like the regular Karians. But I don't know. I thought that'd be enough. There we go. No such luck. So yeah, we almost got death blighted to death. Bellum Highway. So now we get to see the real Frenzy Flame Village. And I still don't have any of the Frenzy Flame Stones, right? And then, I might pick some up here? I don't remember where you get them. Oh man, I'm glad I cleared out Sauron with its like direct HP damage, because it just would have made the Vike fight much harder, now that I think about it. Unless it could hurt Vike, but I don't think it does or did. Let me just walk into the enemy's blade, why don't I? So this guy's interesting because it's a corpse with an actual axe for once. It's kind of been burned, and we get Shabriri's cookbook. Is that what it said? So yeah, I don't actually remember any other corpses having an axe. And he's burned. There used to be like a burned corpse in the Round Table Hold. Well, I say that like it's the opposite way around. Like there's a burned corpse in the Round Table Hold that has like the cipher pata and everything, but that one isn't in the unpatched version of the game here. These Kuka boys have fiery eyes, but they don't actually get healed by the frenzied flame. Man, they'd be kind of scary with their magic. I didn't try to roll twice, I just got buffered. And I need chat to know that I'm not that bad, apparently. I need to justify myself. And this is like not really that important. But the madness icon, for whatever reason, just kind of reminds me of like an octopus's eye. I don't think that's what it's supposed to be, but that's just kind of what it makes me think of. I don't think there's any other treasure either. Just more rats. Alright. Trent asks, any thoughts on the smoldering corpses? You often wondered if they were inspired by previous FromSoft games. So the one in the Round Table Hold, I wondered if like the Round Table Hold got burned at some point, either against Grant's axe or from the burning of an Erd tree because there's so much ash everywhere. The one that we just saw there, it seems like it's supposed to be a frenzied flame type of flame that killed it, since it has like the madness thing. Looks like there's no ghost here. Alright, so we got the Vike invade. I'm not going to deal with Vike. Let's be real here. He can deal damage. Festering Fingertips Vike. So that's like the Dragon Communion stuff. Huh. I was going to say that didn't damage me, but then he stabbed me for like half my health. Okay, it looks like his little waves come out in like threes. It's kind of cool. Like the three fingers. So he's not using Frenzied Flame magic here. At least in this version of the game. Just only his jump. So that's kind of interesting. Because one thing I noticed in the retail build is when you fight him in the mountaintops, in the Everjail, he doesn't use any of the frenzied stuff. He only uses his dragon communion stuff. Hoarfrost Stomp isn't super effective on him because he's small, so he's not taking as many hits, it seems. So, okay, he's a lot less dead. Oh, he has more Estus than I was expecting. Not Estus, but whatever it's called in this game. Tears. Crimson Tears than I expected. I was going to say he's not as dangerous as I was expecting, because, he doesn't use Frenzy Flame stuff. That one literally does no damage, so that one's just kind of bugged. So it's a little bit slow going on this. Oh wow, that almost actually killed me. He heals. I was totally reading chat right then. Not as dangerous as I expecting, nearly dies immediately. Yeah, that's just the curse of the streamer. Can't remember where you heard this, but there's a speculation that you steal his eye in this fight unless he loses his connection to the Three Fingers. That would be cool if it, like, if he kept his abilities if you didn't kill him here first. Because you can out-of-sequence that, and that doesn't quite, like, align. Alright, so let's put on our handy-dandy Twin Blade, since Hoarfrost Stomp isn't super good on the tiny boys. And I should probably level up the next time I go to a Site of Grace. But yeah, I did think it was weird that the one in the mountaintops just doesn't use the Frenzy Flame magic. But he definitely does use Frenzy Flame stuff here on the retail build. Because even his weapon doesn't deal madness on the mountaintops, if I'm remembering correctly. There we go. I'm like low-key scared of spears just because their like attack time, like their attack frames are so low. Like I've almost been like super killed by all the Albinorc, or sorry, the Silver Tears down in like Nokron and Axtella. The Great Shield spear combo ones. Because their attacks just come out so much faster than a lot of the others. I do no damage. It's kind of the issue. You do wish there were more dynamic interactions like that in the game. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I should have attacked. Zoink Scoob. Man. Just as normal R1s wreck me. I'm gonna die. Okay, fudge. I should have rolled. I think I got like buffered though. Alright, I'm gonna put Hoarfrost Stomp back on. Not that there was like much difference, but it was a little bit easier to just chip damage him. Throw pots at him? That's a good point. I don't actually think I have much in the way of pots. Although I could probably craft things, can't I? I just, like, never think about it. And I also have not been really crafting many materials for that. I don't have any poop pots. I could go buy, like, the serpent arrows from Patches. Or is it one of the wandering merchants? Alright, I don't have much in the way of poison stuff either, unfortunately. Like, I have a few things, but nothing that I think would, like, really turn the tide of a fight. But thanks for the idea. Literally no damage. I'm surprised that didn't backstab at him. Oof. Out of range, barely. Okay, so that one actually hit me. Interesting. I'm already applying Bleed and Frost. Why not add poison on top of that with poison darts? That's a good question, but the answer is I don't have poison darts. And I don't think I'm actually applying either of those to him. Like, he hasn't taken either. So he might have, like, obscene resistances for whatever reason. Thought I was dead there. I'm close to it. What an idiot. He ran out of juice. Ooh. Here we go. Really close on both our ends. I was gonna be really mad if I got like stuck on the tree and got hit by that. There we go. Took a little bit longer than I wanted. Fingerprint grape. Vike's war spear. War spear burned by a fingerprint, used by Vike, Knight of the Round Table hold. Like Vike himself, it has been tormented by the yellow flame of frenzy from within. Alright. Fingerprint grape. Eye of a chaosic grabbed by the burnt finger. The eye of one stricken with chaos and seized by charred fingers. It resembles a large ripened red grape, and if eaten with one's eyes closed, even tastes like a rare grape variety. So not too much different from like the Shabriri grape in this version of the game. So they did add more text to that as time went on. And so one of the most interesting things about... Where am I? About Vike is just kind of like what happens with... Okay. With Shabriri telling us like we could save our finger maiden, because when we come into the Church of Inhibition and look at like what was behind Vike, or like what he's kind of guarding, is most likely his finger maiden. Although she doesn't have any items in this version, you'd get the finger reader set from her in the other build of the game. Flask here. I think this is a bit further out. So anyway, you'd get the finger reader set from her. And so it goes to show that despite what Vike may have done for like altruistic reasons to save his finger maiden, it was all for naught. And he was just a tool of the Three Fingers to do what it wants, but he just was kind of a colossal failure in that regard. And I do wonder if that's supposed to like parallel Bernal's issue, because in the earlier like cut stuff of the game, it talks about how his maiden sacrificed herself to the fire, and in the Japanese for him saying like he inherited his brother's will, the Japanese for it is just like the friend or like comrade. So it could be a potential reference to like him trying to get revenge for his finger maiden sacrificing herself to the flame. So I do wonder if like the Bernal situation is meant to parallel Vike, because they're both champions that were like on the cusp of becoming Elden Lord, but did not for whatever reason. That's a decent amount of health, to be honest, but I should start like needing to deal more damage. So the question is if I actually want to stick around with the Bloody Twin Blade or like switch to the Uchi. Because if I go with Uchi, I'm going to need to start leveling up more intelligence for the cold stuff, which will be good for sorcery because I never really use it. But if I go with Twin Blade, I'll need more bleed stuff. Let's let chat decide maybe, or give me a hint. So, 1 second, I'm going to grab a drink of water. Alright, so Vike's spear description is the same as in retail? Okay, that's cool. That is a little bit different. Alrighty. Is Moonveil still broken? Yeah, I don't want to go get Moonveil though, because I don't think it's nearly as broken as Hoarfrost Stomp, to be honest, at least in this version of the game. If I do Uchi, I'm going to have to stay in the Samurai Drip for the rest of the run. Maybe. Let's see what I would need to level up. Kinda doesn't matter. Just Dex. Could go with Mind. Kind of always feels like a waste though. Alright, one more level of this for now. And then we'll figure it out. Because 800 is a nice round number. So we could go visit Hyetta again. And then Latenna.
They're special grapes which only grow on those who've been clasped by the burnt fingers. Please, could you donate a fingerprint grape to me? Without one, I don't know. I feel like I might go mad. Oh. Oh. A fingerprint grape. Tried and true. What a wondrous thing. A fingerprint grape. Oh. How sweet. Yet, how it burns. Thank you. I've composed myself again. May the blessing of the fingers be upon you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. I'm sure I'll be a finger maiden.
So that's pretty much her quest for now. The next time we see her would be in the Frenzy Flame prescription, and she gives us the clue to remove all of our equipment to be clasped by the three fingers. So before going to Latenna's direction, let's see our little merchant friend. Check out what's in its inventory.
What do you need? I don't want any trouble.
Deserter's cookbook, may as well get that. Oh, he has the confessor set. It's called Intelligencer. Okay, that's interesting. And nothing unlimited. Alright, that's pretty straightforward. The Rift Shield is a worn-out iron round shield, extremely common in plane, yet it significantly reduces the onset of madness. So that's a little bit different. This is a bit more cryptic, I think, in retail. I don't remember exactly what it says. What does it like boost? How does that stop madness? Is that like a hidden stat? Whatever. Blue Crest Heater Shield, a small metal shield, standard equipment with a widespread use, marked with a forest crest. Is that actually right? I think that, like, that doesn't really look blue, that looks gray. Maybe that's just a mess up. Intelligencer Hood, black hood of those who kill for a living. Same thing with the garb, the gloves, and the boots. So that doesn't really mention working on behalf of like the Two Fingers or the churches outside the lands between.
All done? Well, be on your way then.
Alright, so let's go back down onto Latenna, and then we'll probably deal with the Everjails maybe, and or the key to get into Rea Lucaria. Here we go. Lakeside Crystal Cave. We have a lantern this time. Big old chest with an arteria leaf in it. I'll read one of these eventually, but not right now. Man, that would hurt so bad in real life. Could you imagine like if a monkey just jumped out of a tree and knifed the ever-living crap out of you? That'd be a bad day. So normally I just drop down, I think. Oh, maybe there's treasure over there, so maybe I don't want to do that. I will say, like, the twin blades do feel good for, like, dealing with multiple enemies like that sometimes. But there's probably just, like, a skill component of them that I'm not, like, used to in terms of, like, being able to maximize the crowd control. I don't quite feel as much like Darth Maul as I want. And that's more of a me issue. And just being impatient. Little guys. I'm surprised it's able to stagger the big boys like that. I ran out of stamina. Alright. Budding cave moss, silver fireflies, and treasure. Damn it, it was empty. And I went through all the trouble of coming this way specifically. Feels bad, man. Crystal cave moss. I don't think I can jump to those crystals. I think that's death. That seems like a death drop as well. We got crystal snails. I do like the snails in the game, but I also wish I knew like what their deal was a bit more. Like these ones, I would just like theorize that like, oh, the snails are kind of like products of their own environment, kind of like the Miranda flowers, and that they kind of take on the properties, ooh, finally, of like whatever's around them. But that certainly doesn't help me understand like the spirit calling snails, especially the ones that like appear in Elphiel or the Halig Tree region. I guess it's technically not Elphiel where they like first appear. All right. So we finally get my coveted glintstone firefly, which says it's a firefly that lives close to large crystal formations, has a peculiar glowing tail made of glintstone, material used for crafting items. Oh, that's unfortunate. So in retail, it says, let me look it up. That it's a firefly whose glowing tail has hardened into glintstone, widely found in Liurnia Lake. Alas, now that its tail is glintstone, it can no longer beguile potential mates. So the Japanese for that is a bit different, where it doesn't talk about beguiling potential mates, I think. Let me double check. So, well, it does, but it doesn't. So the Japanese for it says, now that it's become glintstone, it can no longer has the attraction of, or like the magical power of attraction, whereas like the part about crafting or attracting mates is more particular to the English version, which is unfortunate because I said this on the other stream. I think one difference between like the gold fireflies and the silver fireflies is that they may not have mated yet, and it might be possible that if these fireflies mate, they turn into glintstone. So would that mean like amber, like gold amber or whatnot, has like a certain kind of life in it, and like once it has a child or like leaves itself, it becomes glintstone? Is that why it's like blue starlight compared to gold starlight at times? That's the kind of thought that I had to go with that. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more distant in the Japanese script to come to that kind of conclusion, I guess. But just, said better. a whole lot of snails. Fringe Folk Rune 4. So now our drops should be fine. Explosive stone clump. Don't I get ambushed down here? Not yet. Lump of flesh. Okay. So yeah, the Glenstone snails use kind of Glenstone magic to attack, which is a big surprise. I'm also really fascinated by the those who live in death snails, because they're like spirit caller snails, but bone. It's weird that those ones exist at all. To me, at least. Alright, so as we come into the next room, we should fight a Bloodhound Knight. Not like Darrowell, but one that's similar to Darrowell. Yeah, and it makes one wonder if the Glenstone is organic in nature. And so yeah, that's another good question, because if Glenstone is supposed to be literal amber, you could make the argument that it's organic because amber comes from tree sap. So he just drops down, may as well summon. I was gonna say watch him kill them in like one hit. Oh yeah, I keep meaning to do a playthrough using the Bloodhound Knight sword. Just because it's like really cool. But my first playthrough, I kind of started out as strength and I would have used that weapon, but I couldn't. And I couldn't like respec at the time. Kind of glad I summoned, because apparently I suck. Oh, that knocks him down. GG. Okay. We get our Cerulean Amber Medallion, which will pretty much say the same thing as our Crimson one, which is currently equipped. Yep. Now we get to talk to Latenna and her Hound Lobo, Wolf's Lumberjack.
Foul tarnished. What do you want? I told the all-hearing brute that I possess no such medallion. Or have you come to take more from me? Was my other half not enough?
Welcome back to the stream, Corporate. How's Graveyard Shift treating you? So, I'll be honest, like the first time I did the tennis quest, I kind of like zoned out on what she was saying and I had like no idea what she was talking about. I definitely did not pick up that the all-hearing brute was supposed to be a reference to Gideon, and I don't think that's like a problem of localization. If I remember correctly, even the Japanese just calls them like all-hearing rather than all-knowing, so it's a little bit like distanced from what you might expect, especially since FromSoft tends to use repeated language specifically to like keep things tied together. It's a little bit out of character for them to switch things up, and when they do that, sometimes like the localizers will try to like clean it up. So even though like the Japanese isn't different between like Glowmed Queen and Duskeyed Queen, the localizers did go back to clean that up, so it's just a reference to one person, so they didn't inadvertently seem like two. So I digress. Hey Capenda, welcome back. Trent says, a game called Starflight where your ship engines are powered by crystals. Anyway, spoiler, you learn the crystals are alive and retaliating by igniting solar systems. That's kind of interesting. Kind of reminds me of like Soylent Green. In a weird way.
I told the all-hearing brute already that I possess no such medallion. Or have you come to take more from me? Was my other half not enough?
I also didn't realize, like, Latenna couldn't walk. Because she's an Albinoric, like, I didn't realize, like, what those were. So that's kind of a funny, like, piecing the stuff together, like, way after the fact. So, Latenna's just kind of like your normal Albinoric archer. Not really too much else to say about her at this point. We're not going to do the Albinoric village yet until, at the very least, we do raid Lucario or kill, like, another demigod to get Gideon to say some stuff. Is that black line appearing on... Oh, I guess I can't see it anymore. Okay. Anyway. What was I even saying? Oh yeah, we're not going to do the Albinoric village just yet until we get Gideon to talk to us again, because I don't, like, potentially screw up the interaction between Nepheli and Gideon and us. So we'll just kind of have to wait for that one. All right, the black line is back. Okay, it's even on that screen. So I wonder if it's the game. So let's go to the Smaragd place. Or we could fight that thing. That guy. We have the other Everjail someplace. That one. Let's do the different Everjails. Nathaniel Greco, welcome in. What are the Albinorics? So they're allegedly like a man-made form of life that are called silver people in Japanese. Like Albinoric comes from like white and gold, which some would argue can be a reference to like old-timey silver, which is, you know, fine. But they're artificial forms of life that kind of degrade as they progress through their generations. So they're allegedly untouched by like the Erd Tree's grace and or its rebirth and all that stuff. So they're just kind of like second-class citizens, and that's saying it probably a little bit generously in the lands between. Jay, welcome back to the stream. You said you always like to imagine Glenstone to be more spiritual, like unrefined life. You'd love to learn more about what made the Graven Mass and what they looked into. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully the DLC or like future content can help expand upon that. Alrighty. So who's this one again? Is this Adon? Yeah. So this is a bigger boy, so hopefully it takes a bit more damage or like a couple more hits from the Hoarfrost Stomp. Oh yeah, definitely. So Vike was just like juiced. So yeah, obviously like the health bar is a little bit inflated because like 600 damage isn't like a crazy amount, but we're almost like two-shotting it. Despite having like an only +5 weapon. Soul of Flame, so that's a different name in this version. Were the Albinoric citizens are used for slave labor, you wonder? I think more likely slave labor, but I also think it's possible that they could have been experiments for the Nox to subvert like either Erdtree burial or just death in general. And so there could have been a way for them to body swap to gain a kind of pseudo-eternal life. But I don't really know, to be honest. And that's just kind of my pet theory. Summons living fireballs that chase enemies. Sorry. Christina Palazzi, welcome in. You don't agree when you said that Latenna is a regular Albinoric. She's one of the first Albinoric females you find outside the usual places for them. Plus, she's been given quite the task. I meant she's a regular Albinoric in terms of, like, being a normal first generation, as opposed to like most of the frog boys that you would see here. So we did that Everjail. Let's go to the next one, maybe. Yeah, may as well. Because I don't even remember what's in the Cuckoo one. Maybe you get the Spirit Ashes? And then after we go through this Everjail, we may as well go towards like the Smaragd area. I know there's a beetle on this place, and then there's another side of grace, I think, on the next island. So that one just like always teleports then, I guess. It's like the third or fourth time I've tried to kill it in the first hit, and it's just teleported. I also kind of like whiffed my controls, so there's a little bit on me. Oh, Smaragd be moving. Tops' berry already? Interesting, okay. So I guess Smaragd isn't asleep yet? Or maybe that's a night thing? Dragonwind Grease, Academy Glenstone Key, and a Kukri. Shoot it with Ballista, maybe? Alright. Maybe we don't need to deal with Smaragd. We could always come back to it if we need the Dragon Hearts. Where's our Everjail? Okay, to the south. Oh yeah, and these things are called Looking Stones. And they just are stones with an eyeball that can explode. Talk about foreshadowing. I do love like the little physics of these things after they explode. But they're pretty strange. Karian Knights bulls. Maybe I don't actually remember if this dude's the same. I assume he is, because like I remember the name bulls. I just don't actually remember fighting this. So yeah, that's like the difference between like getting a full-on hit and just like a couple of missing. Ooh, it one-shot me. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, I could have rolled better rather than like panic rolling, but... Oh yeah, we still also have Dialos and Liurnia in this area. And the power of Hoarfrost Stomp makes itself known. Great Blade Phalanx. Forms a large defensive magic sword around user. Pretty straightforward there. Alright. So do I want to go through that tunnel? I don't think there's anything super important. Oh, there's Terra Magica. I don't know if that actually has a different description. But for now, let's go towards like Dialos and all of those things. Maybe I want to go to this one first though. Cuckoo. Hey, what's up, El Degusto? Alright. Oh yeah, there's another weird thing to show off over this way too. Okay, yeah, so let's go this way. No, not that way. This way. So that way is the way to Radio Lucaria. We're not going to go there quite yet. Not that I'm like trying to piss off all these plants. Oh yeah, and Vare. All the rose stuff. Because we could look at the sacramental buds. Alright, but I wanted to come over here because in the temple quarter you should be able to find the ice rind hatchet in retail, but the chest for it just doesn't exist here. So you can't get that item in the game. So the only way you can use Hoarfrost Stomp is through the Ash of War, which isn't like that big a deal, but it's just like one of those differences. Where's our thing? Okay, there it is. Oh, that's annoying. Alright, so coming up in the temple quarter, we're going to find like a bunch more Albinorics. But one of the more interesting things about these Albinorics is that they're kind of like in a ring around a corpse of another Albinoric, which is a first generation one, and all these other ones are just second gens. Or is this not the right spot? Is the other spot just by the... Oh, maybe I did go to the wrong spot. Yeah, because Smrog is there. Budge. Oh, no, I am in the right spot. Okay. I just pissed off all the Albinorics, though, or at least the big one. And the plant. I do like that these plants are like super weak to fire and they like kind of get knocked over. But you can even bleed plants, which are weird. So that just kind of goes to show that like the Miranda flowers specifically like eat blood and flesh. They're carnivorous, in other words. If this poison ever stops. Nerds. So this is the one that I was talking about, and when you have like a ring of flowers around like this, I think in real life it's like a ring of clovers. They call it, what, a fairy gate? Something like that. I don't think that's like really intentional. I mean, it is to some degree because they obviously like put it there. But I don't know if like the fairy thing is well known in like Japanese culture. I don't know if there's like something more specific to it. So yeah, when you attack these things, they bleed very much silver, and all that can pop out of them. So this guy was just kind of like watching this corpse, which is surrounded by like 2 rings of flowers. And this is an Albinoric archer, female. She has a ceremonial pot. In this version of the game, in retail, she has like the rhymed crystal bud. So, like, not like a ton of significance, but it is kind of interesting that they changed it. Oh, she has her eyes open? It's kind of creepy looking. Anyway, just kind of interesting that they put an Elven Noric corpse in here with all of the other second generation ones. So I think the Ice Rind hatchet would be in this thing normally, but there's no treasure chest. If it's in one of the other spots, it's not in this version of the game either. I just don't feel like looking through every little thing to show that off. Ring of Mushrooms. Okay. Oh yeah, mushrooms. Thanks, El Gusto. Did I loot that? It's just one of the other gazebos with the statue. Large smithing stone shard. Okay, good enough. Let's go talk to Dialos before I forget. Should have just fast traveled at this point, but I'm in combat. So he's like right over there. Let's get rid of these guys first. I love their little cartwheels. It's so funny. Just like getting beat up by like Poliwag or something. Poliwrath. Where is he? Is he that way? No, this is too far. You crabs. You should be like right around here. Nah, I must have my spot wrong. Like I know he's like around this section exactly. I just don't remember 100% where. There we go.
Lanya. Oh, Lanya. It's me, Dialos. Answer me, would you?
Selenia, can we even get that set? She's wearing like just like a bunch of chainmail. She's fairly young, probably killed by a recusant. Based on like Dialos' response to all this.
Hello, friend. Tell me if you know, would you? The whereabouts of the hidden house of those despicable fiends. The recusants who hunt their fellow tarnished. They laid hands upon my servant Lanya, and I refused to let the insult stand. The tale of House Hoslow is told in blood. I, Dialos, swear to deliver the message. They laid hands upon my servant Lanya, and I refuse to let the insult stand. The tale of House Hoslow is told in blood. I, Dialos, swear to deliver the message.
Alright, so that's pretty much it for now with him. Since we're not part of like Volcano Manor yet, we can't tell him. I don't know how to like make his quest progress to give me the text where he like talks about like why he actually decides to join them. I know he like mentioned something briefly like when you first talked to him in Volcano Manor, but I think there's some other stuff after that which I haven't gotten. So we talked to Dialos. May as well go into Ray Lucaria now? Yeah, okay. and talk to Yura as well. Oh yeah, I need to upgrade all my stuff. I don't think I have enough for the seeds anyway, but should be fine. Oh yeah, this doesn't lead anywhere. It's broken. So a lot of the architecture in Liurnia can be found in other places. Like the quatrefoils here and like the spires can be seen in parts of Stormvale, if I'm remembering correctly. Like the place where the one church is. But this kind of just shows up in a lot of other places, and the quatrefoil also shows up in like Bloodborne and is just very indicative of Gothic design. So it's kind of hard for me to take this stuff super seriously. Just because, you know, they do reuse a lot of assets. Now let's go get the thing. So someone was saying that they saw like the flame thing at Stormvale. I wonder if, sorry, the flame chariot at Stormvale in one of like the pre-release trailers. But I wonder if they were just talking about this one here. I have enough to level up. Meeting place map. So that'll tell us where to get our Glenstone key, which I don't think I actually read now that I think about it. But it'll be pretty bare bones, I think. A beautiful dagger with a blade made from red glintstone. It is engraved with the Ray Lucaria's school port spell. So that does not match the appearance of this at all. But good to know, I guess. Map held by the dead Glenstone sorcerer. There may be something hidden where the map is marked. Oh yeah, and we still need the Black Knife Catacombs. We'll figure all that out. But first, let's see the Finger Reader Crone. I think it's facing a different direction. I think in like retail it's like sideways, but
You, please, I can read them. Your fingers, please, your fingers. Oh, bless you. Oh. Michaela's favor can be yours. Slaughter, slaughter, slaughter. The all-hearing slaughtered. But alas, it was for naught. But all you need do is snatch it from the big pot. Pity the poor, poor fool.
so the big pot, I think this is supposed to be a reference to Albus. I think he's transmogrified himself into a pot, like when you first find him. And so this might be a hint to where to get the other half of the Dectus medallion, which is why she talks about the all-hearing slaughtering. So I thought she mentioned something about Michaela's favor in retail.
Michaela's
okay.
favor can be yours.
I just probably spaced out. Yeah, because I was drinking a bit of water, so I muted my mic and everything. Okay. Yeah, so Michaela's favor is probably just a reference of like being able to get to the Halig tree with the two halves of the rolled medallion. So as we come up to Ray Lucaria, we do have like the Ray Lucarian crest emblazoned upon their tent things, supply, whatever these things are called. Canopies. And the flame chariots, which are kind of interesting. So it shows to me like there's probably more of an alliance between Raya Lucaria's soldiers and the flame monks than the flame monks to like the Golden Order Lane type soldiers. Because when we go to the Bellum Highway Church, there's also those two kinds of factions like working together. Let me just show that off real quick before I like forget. Elder Gusto says, do you think the Finger Raiders started out as healthy young finger maidens, but they just got old and wrinkly? Christina says they're supposed to be wet nurses. I don't know if all of them were wet nurses, but there is the one down in deeper depths, which is allegedly the wet nurse to Godwin. So maybe they were a bit more youthful in the past. But I guess like the Golden Order and whatnot is supposed to have made things not age like they should. Like the demigods still exist. So yeah. Right next to all these Cuckoo Knights is one of the flame breathing things. So the fire monks seem to work with these things to a degree. But I guess I could also like show off the flame chariot graveyard. So coming up to this ramp specifically, we have more of like the kinds of statues you'd see in Lane, with like the Erd Tree Sentinel dudes on horseback and kind of like the Erd Tree defenders flanking it. But despite that, it is still on top of like the old highway like structure. So I don't know if that stuff was like added later or not. I assume like the adornments would be, but I don't really know. Kind of weird you make your wet nurses into like your archbishops. I mean, not really. Because people that are like that close to the royal family would just have like a lot of sway. But I don't know. Alright, let's go back to Raya Lucaria. What's that other thing I just talked about? Oh yeah, the Black Knife Catacomb. Now let's do a little bit of Raya Lucaria to start this off, because there was something I wanted to show off at the beginning of this stream, which I'm like blanking on, which is always a good sign. Oh, there's also the Yura thing. God of Spaghetti asked if you wanted to. Sorry, God of Spaghetti said that they wanted to ask earlier, why is that dude you fought called the Thief of Fire? So if you go to like the Flame Garrison and whatnot, I'm pretty sure you get the spell there that talks about how there was a fire prelate or like fire monk who took the sealed fire giant spells away from the flame monks. And so there's another item in like one of the camps here that talks that like the flame monks are like pursuing them. So I'm assuming the one who stole their fire and whatnot is a reference to Adon, who is in the Everjail, or probably more like Aiden. I'm saying Adon like enemy in Japanese. So it's a little bit weird to me, like why the gate brings us so close when it's actually so far away. But that's not too important. So as we come up to Raya Lucaria, we do get the repeated Chloranthe motif that I mentioned earlier on the highway. So the highway comes straight to the steps of Raya Lucaria and then goes towards like Stormvale from Lanedell. El Gusto said, did we ever get info on why a high-ranking clergyman is a turtle? Is it just a weird one-off like with the mushroom Elizabeth in Dark Souls? It's probably just like a weird run-off or one-off. But there is the item that does say that like turtles are revered for their wisdom, I think. But I might be misremembering.
Well, there's been an age since I've seen a customer. How can I help here at the end of the earth?
Alright, so nothing too crazy. Oh, that's actually kind of crazy. He sells the tree surcoat. Iron armor with a blue surcoat attached. No, okay, so the dude by the Colosseum didn't have the Gideon armor on. He had on this, the tree surcoat. But he still might be the Gideon boy, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know. But anyway, the tree surcoat is kind of fascinating because the existence of this might imply that it could predate the Erd tree, and it could just be a different tree, but I don't know. I almost bought it, but I don't need to use the runes. Great Turtle Shell is a shield fashioned from a tortoise shell. Boost stamina recovery. Beaver's Cookbook. Interesting. Okay. Stone Sword Key. I could use that.
Have a safe journey.
Alright, so there's going to be another Bloodhound Step Boy. Or not Bloodhound Step, but a Bloodhound Knight. So almost the same thing over here. Strip of white flesh. It'll drop down. Celestial Dew. Okay, brilliant. That'll be perfect for giving us absolution to go see E.G. and Blythe. So, alright. Let's actually fast travel to the gate. And then level up. Go see Yura. And then... Maybe do the Black Knife stuff and a bit of Rhea Lucaria tomorrow? And we could probably end off with going to Miriel now. So I think I will probably just stick with the Hoarfrost Stomp stuff just because it's so ridiculously easy to use. Yeah, that's probably for the best, just to like save up on a little bit of time of like actually playing. Let me also equip some spells. I don't think I ever read that, but okay, looks like nothing's important with it. Starlight is the one that I want. Alright, well. Alright. Alright, and I stay at a medium load. Brilliant. God Spaghetti says, funny story about the giant animals. You thought the giant red wolf named Radigan's red wolf was Radigan the red wolf? So you legit thought Radigan was a dog for a bit? The boss name could be worded differently in 1.0, but you could be wrong. I don't remember if it's different. Alright, so that's the invade sign for Yura. But before that, let's go ahead and get our golden seed and forget to like level up our flasks again, as is tradition for me. Radigan the big red dog, exactly. It's just Yura, Hunter of Bloody Fingers. So we should get the Raven Mount Assassin. And, oh yeah, this one's actually kind of interesting. Looks pissed off at me. It's also ironic as hell to me that, like, Yura's actions really aren't that much different from the Bloody Fingers themselves. Like, he even goes so far as to invade somebody else's world. He just like pimp slapped me. I should probably like try to let him do some moves. He doesn't use any spells or incantations that I remember. His attacks are fairly straightforward with his claws. He does have like his raptor weapon art, but he's pretty straightforward. I think on the free cam, which I can't show off now because I'm on console, his eyes are red, but he doesn't seem to quite be like the same level of Moog adherent as many of the other Bloody Fingers. So I don't know if it's just like he's an incidental Bloody Finger or if he's actually like an adherent of that kind of a pseudo religion of Moog and Mikola. Yeah, Yura's katana is huge. Naga Kiba means like long fang, essentially. He's the real washing pole user in this game. So in this one we get Ash of War Raptorial Revenge, which is definitely different. I mean, it's kind of the same skill, it's just named differently. Or it's like very slightly different. It grants the armament the skill Shed Skin. I think like functionally it's similar, but just the effects look a little bit different, but I don't remember exactly. Raptor's Mist, yeah. Thank you.
Wretched worms, leave me be. Oh, it's you. Thanks for your help there. That bloody finger was a thorn in my side. And now I'm finally rid of him. Here's a token of thanks. Please, take it.
Golden Smithing Stone. Okay, so this one's different. Sweet.
I may not have much time. I'm dying to see you. Eleonora. Violet Bloody Finger.
So him saying he doesn't have much time is interesting. Like I was mentioning briefly earlier, he's kind of participating in the same kinds of actions as the Bloody Fingers. And the Land of Reeds is known for like their blood madness. So he might just be thinking that like he'll probably go mad from like bloodlust sooner than later. Which is a little bit weird because like literally like 2 minutes after we meet him and like kill a dragon, he's like, oh, hey, you want some of that blood? Or like the dragon heart essentially, which is kind of like bloodlust coming in a different form. So like he condemns it in one breath and then like tells us to do something very similar the next, which is really weird to me as far as like his characterization goes. But aside from that, I've wondered whether or not like his very first dialogue right here where he talks about like the worms keep coming, if it's supposed to be like a kind of nod almost to the vermin in Bloodborne in terms of like the way that they cause the root of man's impurities or whatever it is, and eventually cause people to go mad and turn into beasts. I don't necessarily like think it's supposed to be taken literally, but it might just be kind of like a figurative nod to that kind of concept, and or the centipedes found in the monks of Senpo Temple in Sekiro. But like I said, I don't really believe that. It's just kind of something that like came to mind as he talked about it.
Yes, I've been tracking Eleonora for quite some time. She is the deadliest of all Bloody Fingers. She's felled many an old hand already, but in spite of her cessblood zealotry, Eleonora is a proud knight. If she comes for you, do not think twice. You must flee. There is no shame in self-preservation.
So, translator's note, cessblood uses like the same kanji for stagnation that like always gets talked about in like these Soulsborne games, insert the soy jack meme now, where like centipedes represented purity and stagnation. That's kind of where like the cess blood comes from.
Be on your way. Perhaps we will meet again, if fate permits.
All right, so that's pretty much it for him.
Be on your way. Perhaps.
The funny thing is, you can kill him here, and he will still become Shabriri. You can still fight him in the Eleonora fight. Or not, sorry, let me rephrase that. You can still fight Eleonora in the Eleonora fight. So, I don't know why he can actually become Shabriri here. It's actually really annoying, because I'd be like, oh, the reason he becomes Shabriri is because of his despair. So, like, killing him here, like, I don't really think that gives the same kind of despair that is present or indicative in the Millicent quest. So, grr. He's just Eileen 2.0. Maybe. So that's Yura. Okay, let's go see our good old buddy old pal Miriel. Obviously I'm going to go to that one, but... yeah, this would probably still be the fastest. Our boy Bach is still there. I'm going to be annoyed if it doesn't connect. I'm pretty sure it does. But I'm wrong, apparently. Okay. Rip. Man. I don't think there's a spirit spring down there. So that would mean this might be the fastest. That's not really worth it. That's kind of annoying, but whatever. I could at the very least like get a couple of the other sites of grace along the way. That might make it a bit more worthwhile, but there's really not a ton of incentive to keep teleporting back all the way over here. Oh yeah, but one really funny thing about like coming to this place and seeing the ancient ancestors is the kind of noise that they make. Although these probably aren't called the ancient ancestors, this is just kind of what I call them by default. Oh no. I ruined it. Okay. So they don't make the kind of like same like singing or chanting sound, although I don't think those ones chant at all. In this version of the game, they make this like really weird sound that sounds like a goat breathing in almost. Oh yeah, this place is annoying. Because of all the archers. Which, I mean, we should be going a route where we're gonna, like, skip them all, I think, for the most part. For the most part. But it also fascinates me just, like, how ridiculously large they are. Sticking into the player character model. Alright, Christina, thanks for staying in. Yeah, we're probably going to be ending the stream a little bit shortly here as well once we like do the Miriel and get Absolution. But thank you so much for staying in, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next one, where we'll be going live again at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I goofed. Wait, that doesn't even connect that way, I don't think. Or does it? Either way. I'll probably talk about this area at some point in a future stream, just because it's kind of fascinating. Hey, we got our fire monks and stuff. That might be the place that I need to loot to get the one item that tells us like why the fire monks came down here. But where we're going is to see a dog. Talk now about this area? I would, but like honestly, like I'm pretty wiped. And I'm already struggling with my focus. So coming into this area in the Church of Vows, I'm pretty sure one difference is the color of the flames, but I might be misremembering. So like not all of their visual effects were like finalized in this build of the game. So coming up here, we've got like the kind of a sword saint statues, except instead of the swords, they have torches. But what might be the most standout feature of the Church of Vows, aside from Miriel, is the statue here of a Nox Swordstress maiden. And she's in a pool of water, and this is where we can use the Celestial Dew to atone our sins. I may as well read that now, because I don't think I did. And then we'll talk to Miriel about it and everything. And so this description is different in 1.0. This is the nostrum used by members of the Karian royal family, made from gathered moon tears remaining above ground. An old magic hides within, known to interfere with fate itself. Pardons wrongdoings against NPCs who have become hostile. So the biggest difference between this one and retail is that this kind of gives a more explicit origin for the Celestial Dew, and it doesn't call them a knight tier. And so I wonder if it was deliberately changed because, like, the Dukist Herba make are called, like, Night Mist Herba in Japanese. So I've wondered if Night Mist Herba could produce night tears. So, yeah, that's just kind of like the biggest difference. But I don't exactly know if that's actually canon. It very well could be wrong. And Celestial Dew could still, like, come from, like, the sky, yet somehow be different from starlight shards, I guess. Sing a dog about a man, exactly.
You're tarnished, aren't you? I welcome you to the Church of Vows. I am Miriel, steward of this sacred chamber. My apologies for the unseemly state of affairs. Do you know the origin of this place? How it came to be known as the Church of Vows?
I don't know.
Well, that is a shame. But who can blame you? The shattering has caused us, all of us, to lose sight of something very dear. It is here, at the Church of Vows, that the great houses of the Erd Tree and the Moon were joined by the matrimonial bond between red-haired Radagon and Renala of the Full Moon. And so our church holds in view the monuments of both houses, the Erd Tree of the capital and the Academy of Rea Lucaria.
Yes, it's a bit of a foggy day, otherwise you'd be able to see them.
Oh, was there something you needed? You are free to show yourself around. I would serve as your guide, only my legs aren't what they used to be. If you find anything of use, you are free to take it with you. Unless, perhaps, you are in search of instruction, in which case I will share all that I know.
Let's study the things first. Wolf's sword trap is definitely different. Forms a glintstone chunk that fires shards on delay. Karian greatsword attacks, pretty much. Okay. Incantations is beseech aid instead of like blessing of the Erd Tree, I believe. Slowly heals a large amount of HP. And that's like the ancient Erd Tree icon on the thing itself. So now we can show our Celestial Dew and or talk about Radigan. Let's do the Dew.
Do you possess any celestial dew? Then I would like to share my knowledge with you concerning the miracle of this Church of Vows. Radigan once cleansed himself with celestial dew, repented his territorial aggressions, and swore his love to Renala. The Order of the Erdtree and the fate of the moon were conjoined, and all the wounds of war forgiven. This miracle blesses the Church to this day, and so you need only follow Radigan's example to restore any bond, however strained or severed, to its rightful state of harmony.
So he does call it the Order of the Erdtree there, which is kind of interesting. And it does kind of differentiate itself from the Golden Order potentially there. So let's go with some small talk.
My faith does not waver. The miracle rooted in these grounds will once again mend the world. And this time, its bounty will not be squandered. If you would be Elden Lord, tarnished, I hope that you too will share my faith.
So I like the little bit of shade that he throws about on them, with like, this time it won't be squandered.
You wish to know more of Lord Radigan? Lord Radigan was a great champion, possessed of flowing red locks. He came to these lands at the head of a great golden host. When he met Lady Renala in battle, he soon repented his territorial aggressions there, and became husband to the Karian Queen. However, when Godfrey, first Elden Lord, was hounded from the lands between, Radigan left Renala to return to the Erdtree capital, becoming Queen Marika's second husband and king consort, taking the title of Second Elden Lord. The mystery endures to this day as to why Lord Radigan would cast Lady Renala aside, and moreover, why a mere champion would be chosen for the seat of Elden Lord.
Yeah, so John Bailey brings up a good point that it's soon repented after 2 Liurnian wars. I want to double check the Japanese on this, because it might have just been misremembering the English, but Miriel says when Godfrey was hounded from the lands between, Radigan returned to Leyndell. So that could say that like Godfrey left first and then Radigan came back. But for whatever reason in my head I had it like that Radigan came back when Godfrey was hounded, and that could have been like the cause and effect of it. But I don't really know. And so for as much really good information as Miriel gives us, it does have enough gaps in it where it isn't like completely objective. And I think like what John Bailey just said right there kind of like really highlights that like, how does somebody soon repent after 2 wars, or like when they pretty much first meet Marika on the battlefield? It doesn't seem like Miriel has the full story, despite, you know, being very helpful to the best of its abilities. So he should just repeat it himself.
It's said that Lord
Oh, no.
Radigan harbored a secret. A famed sculptor of the Erdtree capital was once summoned to render Lord Radigan's likeness in giant stature when he glimpsed the skeleton in Radigan's closet. And as such, it's said the great statue harbors his secret too. You wish to know more of Lady Renala? She is queen, head of the Karian royal family, and governor of the Academy of Rea Lucaria, the great and beautiful full moon witch. Sadly, her heart was broken when Lord Radigan left her, and then, when the Academy rebelled against the royals, she was locked away in the Grand Library.
So that gives us more information about Lady Renala, that she's imprisoned in the library by like the Cuckoo, or like not the Cuckoo, but like the Reichardt, which is a little bit confusing because she's a Karian, imprisoned by the Lucarians. But yeah, pretty much the Reichardt are the scholars of the academy, and she's like the former headmaster, essentially, who became queen.
In the end, Lady Renala was left alone, cradling the amber egg Lord Radagon bequeathed her. Now she devotes herself to it through forbidden rite, the grim art of reincarnation. You would do well to remember, severing a vow, strongest of bonds, has consequences ever more dire.
So there's so much loaded into those very few sentences. The art of reincarnation is grim and it's banned, but she devotes herself to it nonetheless. The questions of like why that would be banned are really intriguing. I think it's because, it could subvert the order of the Erd Tree and Erd Tree burial and rebirth potentially. There's the stuff about Radagon giving her the amber egg, which acts as like the Great Rune. That would have happened long before the Shattering, so where did he get this rune? Was it like a byproduct of like what he and Marika must have done to seal the Rune of Death? We don't really have those answers. Was it essentially like Radagon's mending rune, the same way that like Gold Mask or Fia can produce their own runes? We don't really know. And then there was something else that he said that I can't even remember because I was just talking so much. So, yeah.
To experience the miracle, kneel in the basin at the back and cleanse yourself with celestial dew. Absolution will be yours. Any bond, no matter how strained or even severed, will be put to rights. To experience it's said that Lord F went under.
Okay, so we can't get the Renala text again. So that's pretty much it with Miriel. And there's like another statue over here that we were looking at. So this might be the same lady that was in the one tunnel. We don't really know. She doesn't show up in a lot of places, at least in this pose. Or I guess that could be a dude, but no, that's definitely more feminine. And then in this chest, we should get the golden sewing needle. And the tailoring tools. It's a golden sewing needle. If given to a seamster, it can be used to lighten one's gear. And we can do it with our own hand with the tools. Let's do some absolution here. Our sins are absolved. It's really just that easy. So now we should be able to go talk to Blythe and or Iji. And maybe I should put myself down by the Mistwood to start next stream. Because otherwise I think I might forget about Blythe. Alright, so yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to stop for tonight. Tomorrow we should definitely be able to go through a good chunk of Raya Lucaria, if not finish that off. We should also do the Black Knife Catacombs and talk to Fia and Roger about that. And maybe get through the Gale Tunnel and Millicent's stuff in Caelid. So once again, thank you all for joining and for lurking and commenting. I always appreciate that. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, technically today, because I forget, like, it's past midnight now. So yeah, thank you once again. Last Protagonist out.